Welcome to Inspired Living with Cynthia, your weekly dose of purpose, passion, and perspective. This is the space where real conversations meet real inspiration, where we uncover the tools, stories, and insights that help you live boldly, think clearly, and walk confidently into the life you were created for. So settle in, open your heart, and get ready to be uplifted, challenged, and inspired. This is Inspired Living with Cynthia.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Inspired Living. I'm your host, Cynthia, and I'm deeply grateful that you've joined me here today and that you've chosen to spend a little time with me. You know, life in this world is often loud, fast, and incredibly demanding. It's easy to wake up, check our phones, rush through the day, and go to sleep only to do it all over again. We get stuck on autopilot. But somewhere inside, there's a small voice that's asking for more. Not necessarily more money or more stuff, but more meaning, more connection, more life. That is why this podcast exists. It is Inspired Living with Cynthia. Our tagline is your weekly dose of purpose, passion, and perspective. But really, it's an invitation to explore the stories and strategies behind a life well lived. In this premiere episode, I want to share the story of why we are here. I want to share a bit of my own journey. Yes, the messy parts and the beautiful parts, and tell you exactly what you can expect from future conversations. So grab a cup of tea or settle into your commute and let's begin. I want to start by defining what inspired living is. What does it actually mean? Because inspiration can feel like a fluffy word. You see it on bumpy stickers, on coffee mugs. But to me, inspired living isn't about being happy 24/7. It isn't about positivity or ignoring the hard stuff. To me, inspired living means living intentionally. It means walking through life, waking up and choosing how you show up in the world rather than letting the world dictate how you feel. There's a statistic that says 44 to 66% of Americans experience burnout. Think about that. That's anywhere from half to more than half of all Americans working are experiencing burnout. They're stuck on autopilot. But to me, the definition of inspired living and the spark is your why. Why do you do what you do? And to me, it's peace. I enjoy the peace that comes with living intentionally. I created this podcast because I realized that inspiration isn't lightning. You don't just wait for it to strike. Inspiration is a discipline. It's a muscle. And the best way to build that muscle is to surround yourself with people who are living in their truth, people who are living intentionally. Over the coming weeks, I'm going to bring you conversations with authors and entrepreneurs and pastors and artists and wellness people and any other experts I can think of. But we aren't going to just talk about their accolades. We're going to talk about their spark. their why. Why do they do what they do? But I thought before we interview others, I think it's only fair that I get a little transparent with you first. You might look at me or this podcast and think I have it all figured out. But the truth is, my journey to inspired living didn't start with a win. It started with a crossroads. As I think back over my life, I think about the highs and the lows. I think about when I thought that I couldn't go on any farther, when I thought that this mistake would be the end of me, that I would not be able to accomplish some of the things that I wanted to accomplish, that I wouldn't be able to make a difference in this world. But we have to get over that fear. I remember standing there at a particular crossroads, realizing that I had a choice. I could stay comfortable and numb, or I could step into the unknown and feel everything. Well, of course, I chose the unknown. And I won't lie to you, it was messy. But that mess was where the magic happened. That was the beginning of life and how I lived with a purpose. You see, um, I worked in an industry that was male dominant, and I was the youngest. I was the only female. I was the only Black. So every day was a challenge. Every day was a challenge just to keep going. And I probably was in that 44 to 66% category, just experiencing burnout, long hours, never feeling appreciated. And that's when I decided whether I was going to choose to just let the world dictate how I showed up or if I was going to dictate my life. So, how do we move from the place of feeling stuck to a place of inspiration? That's what we call the accent. In this show, we're going to focus on how. I'm obsessed with practical tools. When I was navigating my crossroads, there were a few specific things that saved me. My core values that I practiced, that I held on to, my mindset. We're going to talk a lot about mindset shifts, how to silence the inner critic, routine and wellness. We're going to talk about how to treat our bodies and our mornings so that we get started with a great day. And community, how we connect with others is so crucial. When I bring guests on the show, I'm going to ask them the hard questions. I'm going to ask them about their failures. I'm going to ask them, what did they do when they failed and how did they improve? I'm going to ask them, what did they do for the first hour of their day? I want to give you a toolkit for inspired living. I want you to finish every episode with one tangible thing that you can do immediately to shift your perspective. And then to wrap up our first time together, I want to introduce a segment we'll do with every guest called Inspirational Quick Takes. It's a rapid fire round to get at the heart of things. And since I'm on the hot seat today, I'm going to answer them myself so you can get to know me a little better. Okay, what is a small thing that brings you immense joy? I'm going to say sitting and listening to the sound of the water. I love that peaceful feeling of listening to the water. Okay, the best advice I've ever received in 5 words or less. A favorite saying of my mother's is, "This too shall pass." And anytime I'm in a situation and it seems incredibly hard, I just remind myself, this too shall pass. Okay, the world needs more, I'm going to say, empathy. If the world had more empathy, if we were able to put ourselves in others' shoes, then this world would be an incredibly better place. Um, what is one inspired activity that I do for just fun? Let's see. That's a tough one because let's see. I'm going to say I like to read romance novels, and sometimes I can binge and read all night long, and before I know it, it's 2 or 3 in the morning. Um, and that's just something that I like to do. So you see, we're going to have fun here. It's not all going to be serious. Joy is a huge part of inspired living. I hope this gives you a sense of who I am and where we're going. We have some incredible episodes lined up. We'll be talking more about it in the coming days. If you're ready to spark a more intentional life, I invite you to join me. Let's think about it. This is my ask of you today. If any of this resonated with you, join me each week. I would love to have you. You can find me right here on City Worship Radio every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. I will have more contact information and other things that you can send suggestions of people you would like to see me interview or topics you would like to see me take on and bring experts in. But for now, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Remember, you have everything you need to take the next step. Until next time, live inspired.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Inspired Living with Cynthia, your weekly dose of purpose, passion, and perspective. I hope today's conversation encouraged you, empowered you, and gave you something meaningful to carry into your week. Remember, inspiration isn't just something you hear, it's something you live. So take what you've learned, apply it with courage, and keep moving toward the life that's calling you. Until next time, reminding you to stay inspired, stay intentional, and stay true to your purpose. Have a blessed and beautiful week.